Okay, we're back with that FJ62 frame. I got it stripped down to bare frame today and started working on the back end back here, that little C channel. I talked about the rust on the previous video. Got it out of there. You can see it's rusty in there, but not terrible. Caught this one before it got too bad. I've said earlier about maybe getting the Trail Tailor kit, but since the other side of this is really good, I'm just gonna probably take this piece here down to the local sheet metal shop, have them fold me one up. I'll poke the holes in it myself, and probably try to find some rivets that match the original rivets, and then I'll buck those back in. Like I said, this side's really pretty good. I don't know if I want to buy the whole kit. I guess I would have an extra for the right side, but I don't know. Probably just as easy to have one folded up. Another thing I want to do back here is this rear cross member. I'd like to replace it. Structurally, it's fine. It's plenty strong enough. There's plenty of material left there, but I don't like the way this looks here. The bumper comes to about right here. So this is all exposed between the tailgate and the bumper. It'll look better blasted and powder coated, but you're still going to see this through the powder coat. I guess one option is to blast it really good and then have the coater really lay a lot of primer down and then sand it smooth and then powder coat it after that. But I'd much rather replace it. If I can dig through my parts pile and find, a decent one or a better one, I'll do that. I'll knock those rivets out. There's a little bit of weld here, top and bottom on both sides, comes out pretty easy. So we'll see if I can find one. Next up tomorrow is, I've decided to put a 5-speed in it. So tomorrow I'll be knocking these off carefully, cut them out real careful. Get the FJ60 cross member, move it up to here where it's gonna live, and then I'll smooth these parts of the frame out. So when I'm done, it should look like it was born with its cross member up here. Now, if somebody brought me a 62 to do a 5-speed swap on, I wouldn't go that far. I would just leave these guys where they're at, and I would build some cross member mounts here. Pretty simple ones with a little piece of tube cut at an angle and then a flat plate across the bottom. I usually like to notch them, the plate, to match this angle on that cross member, but a square plate would do. How I'm going to go about this is how I normally do it. Well, a little bit different. I've got a bare 3F block, so I'll put that in there, mount it in with the bell housing attached to it, and then I've got like a mock-up transmission that I use for all kinds of mock-ups, from the 5-speed swap. That guy's right here. Basically, it's gutted, and then it's the sides are chopped out just to lighten it up. So I'll mount that in there, and that'll like locate everything in there. It's easier also to you tack all that stuff in, all those mounts, and make sure everything's right, and then leave it all bolted up tight, cross member tight to the brackets, engine tight to the frame, and then weld everything in with that little small transmission instead of all the big stuff on there. It's easier to weld, easier to get around there. Totally doable with a full transmission in it, but that just makes my life easier. I got a pile of those transmissions, so salvaging one, cutting all the pieces out, made a lot of sense for this type of project. Another thing I did when I pressure washed it was these holes, these square rectangular holes in the sides of the frame, they fill up with dirt. So good thing to do on your 62 is, you know, stick your finger in here every once in a while and see how full of dirt that is. A lot of times they'll fill up with dirt. That dirt will get water in it, and then it just sits there, and the inside of the frame will rust. I've swapped frames out where this section here, I can put my hand inside the frame all the way in there. That's getting pretty serious, you know. Most of those trucks that I've seen that and had to do that on were, you know, East Coast trucks or Canadian trucks. But what I do anyway is elevate the front of the truck as far as possible and then pressure wash down in these holes, you know, and starting back at the back ones. So start blowing in here, and then it'll come out, you know, the dirt and mud and everything will come out here. Move to the next one forward, do the same thing, keep going forward. You know, you want it until it comes out pretty much clean water coming out the back, because you'd really be surprised how much mud will come out of there, and all that is just storing water and creating rust. So little tip there, you can do it with a garden hose and maybe to kind of knock it loose, maybe a piece of like vinyl tubing, some stiff vinyl tubing, probably like 3/8. So you get the garden hose running in here, and maybe go down to the next one and just start working that vinyl tubing back and forth to free all that stuff up and get it to clear out of there. It really helps if you have the truck like nose high. So if you got a hill or something, or maybe you live on the flat land, maybe figure out how to get the front end way up in the air. Let that gravity help you blow all that stuff out. Same goes for this tube. All these tubes, they rot out from the inside out. I don't know how many of these I've replaced. It's not fun to do it with the body on the frame. Like this, it would be easy, it's gravy. But with the body still on the frame, it's not much fun. It's got a little, you know, a little dog leg to it. You can use a straight tube, which is what most people wind up doing. I've done it both ways, straight tube or a dog leg square tube. You know, notch it and move it over a little bit like this, but it's really not that critical. But it is critical to keep it cleaned out, because it will fill up with mud and debris just like those will, and it'll rot from the inside out. And it'll look fine on the outside, and then one day this will just pop off, and you'll know right away when you're driving down the road. It's not a good feeling. So anyway, there's that, and we'll get started on that moving that cross member tomorrow. So there you go. I'll look at this frame and a couple of tips on maybe preserving them. It definitely helps. Big thing though, that tailpipe coming out the back, you got to get it all the way out from under the body, or it's going to do that. No doubt about it. All right, we'll get another video of some progress hopefully tomorrow.